Welcome back to the locker room. Captain Paul with my co-host Chief, man. How you doing there, Chief?
I'm all right, brother. How are you?
Can't complain, man. You sound depressed as shit.
Nah, that's because I gotta wait fucking 3 months for fucking happy time.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I get it. So, we were talking on the phone. We kind of have a conversation about the greats in the NHL. And this is a conversation that I think people have had before, but we kind of want to give our takes on it. Who would you rather have to start off a franchise? Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid? Now, Chief, I don't think it's going out of a limb here to say both of these players are future Hall of Famers, and most people will be blessed to have one of these individuals on their team, regardless of who you start with.
Yeah.
Who? Let's kind of get into it. If you were to pick between either or, who would you pick to start your franchise with?
I mean, I fucking hate Sidney Crosby. Fucking hate him. Loathe him. Second best player in Cole Harbor, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take him. I mean, McDavid is a generational talent,
Mm-hmm.
but he just doesn't have that fucking edge, the instinct, the killer drive to win.
I
Um,
mean, yeah.
I mean, when you look at his the game six post game presser, he looked like a little kid whose homework had gotten fucking chewed up by the dog.
Yeah.
He just looked disheveled. He didn't look mad. Like the year before the Avs won, fucking McKinnon had one of the best sound bites ever. I've been in this league almost 10 years and I haven't won shit.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
what you want. That's a guy that wants to win the cup, that has the drive to win the cup.
I'll say this, right? I think I do think McDavid really badly wants it. I mean, there was that viral moment last year, him screaming in the locker room, trying to get the boys going, like everything you have, and like just trying to get those guys going after a loss in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah,
And I think he badly wants it. So I don't know if I can necessarily quantify Crosby or McKinnon wanting it more than McDavid. What I will say is this: it is to me at least somewhat alarming that in your best player on an elimination just 0 points,
yeah,
and the last 4 games of that series against Florida he had 2 points, right?
yeah,
And that's not horrific for an everyday NHL player, a half a point per game player, but like McDavid needs to show out, and I know there was that
yeah.
3 point game he had against Florida. I understand that, but McDavid is a fantastic producer. Last postseason, he had 33 points in 22 games played. But when you needed him to step up in that big moment, and to give credit to Florida, Florida did a great job of neutralizing him.
Absolutely.
To me, just those certain guys just figure ways to get it to win, figure ways to
Exactly.
produce. And, I'll say this. I'm actually going to definitely agree with you on this. If I was to start a franchise, I'm saying this as a Bruins fan, Patrice Bergeron lifer. If I was to start a franchise with any center, it would definitely be Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby versus McDavid. Crosby, some would argue, oh, he had talent, he had Malkin. I'm like, well, McDavid had Draisaitl. And maybe you can argue some of the roster construction, the goaltending. I mean, Fleury was better than Skinner. I mean, I'm not going to really even kind of debate that.
Yeah.
But I also think, and this might sound sacrilegious, we kind of forget those times with Fleury where I think, what was it, Thomas Vokoun took over as the goaltender for stretches because Fleury could be a little bit inconsistent at points in Pittsburgh. I mean, Fleury's a Hall of Fame goaltender. I mean, I'm not negating that, but uh, Crosby found a way to win against. Well, I think his first cup was against the Red Wings. Just an absolute stacked team,
Yeah.
and he's a better two-way player than Connor McDavid in every facet. I
Yeah.
know everybody wants to complain. Oh, Crosby whines and complains, but if you're
He does
speaking about
whine
a
and
200
complain.
foot game,
Let's
yeah,
not get that wrong. but he still
No, he,
complains.
he does. He definitely complains and whines. He's got that LeBron in him, but at the same token, he just I had to throw that shot. Um, with that
Because
same
we think
token,
LeBron's a bitch.
yeah. I mean, he is kind of one of the softest superstars I've ever seen. But I think when it gets to this conversation, Crosby, he can score offensively with the best of them, but also defensively, he can lock you down with his good two-way game, his great two-way game. That's a part of his game I feel like is not properly appreciated. And while McDavid, he can score a million points, I do think aspects of his defensive game have gotten better. It's nowhere near to the same quality of a guy like Crosby, you know?
Yeah.
And for a guy with that many gifts, how fast he is, how just fantastic he is with his hand eye, with his hands and all that, like all these amazing skills he has, defensively, he can have you wanting a bit more.
Well,
And that's what I think
I
a center truly is a two-way player.
yeah, and I was going to say, actually, it doesn't do McDavid it does him a disservice that he's got Draisaitl because they're two of the best five players in the world on the same team on the same line,
Yeah.
and for them not to have a cup yet, ugh.
It's weird because when we have these conversations, well, like Florida was so good, Florida was so great. I'm like, they were absolutely fantastic hockey team, one of the deepest teams in the NHL. But when you're having these type of conversations about like all time greats, it's a hard you judge them harder. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You judge them harder. It might even sound a little bit unfair, but if McDavid wants to be put in this category of like some of the greatest players of all time, those players figure out how to get it done. They just
yep.
do. I think Edmonton, while I still don't understand Skinner situation because I think they could have upgraded a
Oh,
few times before that, Edmonton has done a okay job of getting some pieces in there to help out. I mean, I do think that this past Oilers roster was definitely better than the one where they went to the finals the year prior. But it's right. I'll kind of say this as an example, right? You know how like with Bruin, I'll say this for my own fandom. You know, like Bruins, like fans, we always gush about Bobby Orr and like how
yeah.
fantastic and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Bork was a Hall of Fame level defenseman and amazing with the Boston, right? But we keep him out of certain conversations because I mean he won a Stanley Cup ultimately, but you keep him out of certain conversations because like he kind of got by the Oilers. Funny enough, he kind of got shut down in what was that the early '90s.
Yeah.
So I think doesn't mean McDavid's not a great player, but when you're forming like if I was to pick him or Crosby, I think it's like Crosby all day, every day.
Yeah.
You know.
Um,
Do you think if McDavid wins a cup, that maybe changes some of that narrative?
it has to. Uh, but as that roster is currently constructed, I know they just gave Bouchard the big ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they had to do it, but at some point they have to address the goaltending because as long as they have that goaltender, never going to win a cup. Never.
Yeah, you would be better off putting a shooter tutor in that.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't disagree. So then, to be fair, are we maybe being too harsh on McDavid because we understand that he has an AHL level goaltender in net for him?
Yeah. And with that, unless they magically find some goaltender like lurking in the weeds, it's better than Skinner. They're not going to win a cup. And as much as I love my boy Pix, he's not the answer either.
No, he's a backup goalie. Like
Yeah.
he is. It's actually I do think like maybe not style wise because sometimes with picks he can make it look a little awkward. I do think he's a better goalie than Skinner.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
I do too. I
I
would take him over Skinner every day.
I don't think this is gonna sound weird. I don't think he has a higher ceiling than Skinner because Skinner does have inherent athleticism, and when the frustrating thing about Skinner, because we're kind of making this I'm not trying to get this completely off topic. The frustrating thing with Skinner though is
Too
you
late.
you can see the flashes of like, okay, there's something there, and then it's just like he'll let in a goal, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, guy, like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think as a center, I think McDavid has definitely gotten better, and he utilizes his speed defensively. But it's I gonna sound unfair saying this. I just don't think it's nowhere to the same quality of a guy like Crosby, because Crosby also was one of these players. Not saying McDavid doesn't make his teammates better, because I mean he makes Zach Hyman like a 50-point score, 50-goal score, or something like that.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying he doesn't have that ability, but like Crosby just makes his team better.
Yeah.
He's a playmaking wizard. He can score. I actually think Crosby could have scored more goals if he's a little bit more inherently selfish, but he's dedicated to that 200-foot game. And
Yeah.
sometimes with McDavid, I kind of question that. Like, are you really kind of locked in here, 200-foot game, all game?
Yeah.
And I understand he probably feels like he's got to cheat a little bit to get some offense, but I don't know. It just, to me, while there's definitely been some moments where Crosby's been kind of getting locked up, it's hard for me to remember a moment in the finals where Crosby just completely disappeared. And maybe that's just because history biased, but
Dude, I can't
I
think of
can't
one.
think one. I can't think
I
of one.
really can't. I'm sitting here the whole time I was sitting here listening to you, trying to think of it, and fuck, I can't.
I mean, I'm
That
even
makes
gonna
me
kind
hate him
of.
even. That makes me hate him even more.
Well, it's like, let's see here, because I do want to be fair here to Crosby, and I should say to I should be saying to McDavid. Yeah, I mean, like so StatMuse says in 25 games, Crosby's had 4 goals, 16 assists for 25 in 25. So he's had 20 points in 25 games played. And let's see, Connor McDavid, Stanley Cup final stats. I mean, actually, to be fair to friggin' McDavid, 4 goals, 14 assists in 13 games played in the Stanley Cup Finals, but he's got a -2 plus minus, and Crosby's got a +3 plus minus. It's funny though, because when McDavid scores, let me kind of pop this up on screen, right? Because this actually does make it a little bit interesting here. Let me make sure I don't share the audio because this can be kind of weird.
Us weird?
You never
Never.
know, man. I don't trust some of these websites. It's just like with some weird stuff. It's funny though, like when you see McDavid, obviously the last game. It's kind of weird how they kind of sort it this way. What the hell's going on here? This is a weird sorting of how they did it. Oh no, it's not. I'm stupid. So like his last game, 0 points, 1.1.0. But you know what I noticed with McDavid though? 3 points, 2 points. Like when he produces,
It's in
he
bunches.
produces. But like 5 games with 0. I'm gonna switch over here to Crosby. 20 points obviously, +3 though in 25 games played. You know, it's just interesting. 3 points, 1-1, like one. Okay, so let me just see how many. And these Crosby's played way more, so this is a little bit unfair stat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 games with 0 points. I'm just kind of interested to see McDavid's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, actually kind of on the same pace there. You're thinking about it. 13, was it 25? Yeah, about the same pace.
Okay.
Okay, maybe
We're off. Who knows?
maybe we're off. Maybe we're off a little bit there. Maybe it is because
He's got
Crosby's
more
just won
cups.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we also aren't accounting for the things that aren't going to show up on the score sheet.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, it's not all. Well, that's actually kind of like
Like,
what I've even talked about as a 200-foot game, right?
so a quick, okay, maybe this will give us a better idea of their effectiveness. What was their plus minus?
So Crosby +3, and then McDavid was a -2.
See, there you go.
And plus minus isn't a perfect spat by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think I don't know, man. I just you want a little bit more there from your fucking superstar.
Yeah.
You do. Um, it's crazy because like in the game, like in that last game we won against Nashville where they won the cup, +1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's dude just found a way to win.
Yeah.
It's weird, right? Because I think like again I've stated this, but I'm gonna state this again because there's going to be some angry fanboys. Both of these players would be fantastic to start a franchise with, right?
Yeah.
I think McDavid's offensive upside is massive. I don't think his 200-foot game is complete. I don't think it's as good as it should be, considering how good he is. But I think it has dramatically improved. I'm going to give McDavid that credit in comparison to when he first came into the NHL. I just got it's like these conversations. Crosby just found ways to win.
Yeah.
As frustratingly simple that is to say, it's kind of true. Like he just found a way to win. And who knows, man? Maybe McDavid goes to another finals, wins a cup, and goes on a run. Maybe he wins multiple cups. Who knows? But McDavid's kind of getting to this stage of his career. He is 28 years old. Like, I'm not saying he's long in the tooth by any stretch of the imagination, but we're getting to the stage here where it's like you're kind of running out of leg room here. Like
Yeah.
you're running out of room. Like you're gonna
The
have to
runway,
start.
the
winning.
runway is ending.
Yeah, like
Not a lot of runway.
you're closer towards the end of your career than the beginning. So, but kind of going through it. Is your answer the same? Would you go with Crosby to start a franchise, or would you go with McDavid?
I'll go with Crosby. God, it makes me want to throw up, but yes.
Okay.
I'm
still
literally
gonna.
I'm trying not to
What?
vomit in my mouth when I would take Crosby. But yeah, I don't know. It almost leads me to a question is, would Connor McDavid have to pull a Gretzky and go somewhere else to win a cup?
Well, Gretzky won it with the Oilers, though.
I know, but but for him to win a cup, though, would McDavid have to leave?
Potentially. I mean, he's kind of left that on the table,
Yeah,
right? I think.
because he's a free agent end of this year or next.
I'm actually gonna go right now, Puckpedia. This is actually funny. This is turning into like just a whole informal podcast. I don't care though. This is actually good. Let
I don't give
me
a shit
go.
either.
Let's see here.
No agenda, baby.
No agenda podcast, baby. Wait, that was the wrong screen, dumbass. There we go.
We are professionals. Don't try this at home.
I know exactly. Extremely, extremely professional. Let's see. Contract for McDavid. He's a UFA at the end of this season, upcoming season.
Oh, you know that
So like,
there's already people have been talking now that it's July. I know he's not till next year, but
what's interesting, and I'll say this because I think there's been extension rumors with McDavid. Hold on, let me kind of Google that.
boy, I hope they better come up with one because there is a 31 teams lurking in the weeds, licking their chops. Probably willing to move heaven and earth to get that motherfucker on their team.
So McDavid, there's no rush on the extension talks. McDavid has stated that winning a Stanley Cup is a priority, and he will consider an extension if he believes the Oilers can consistently contend for a championship. Whew. You know, honestly, God, I'm gonna get some shit for this. I think personally,
Send it.
I think personally, this is gonna be a fucking off one. I think personally, both of these players are fantastic, but when you like Draisaitl's making 14, what's McDavid gonna make? 17? And
At least 15.
yeah, so I've had this conversation before. I actually think it would be better off for one of these teams, like for the Oilers to move off one of those players.
Yeah.
That might sound sacrilegious. You would have to bring in some talent, but I think, God, could you do it again though? Could you trade a generational freaking talent, right? Like they traded so Gretzky got traded, right, by Edmonton to the Kings. So like everything's on the table.
No, 100%.
If you're the Oilers, right? Do you consider trading him?
Yeah. Because you know you're at least going to get that team's best player and a first-round pick. At least. Bare minimum.
Like it would have to be a crazy return. Like you'd have to get, I think, an NHL player that's like a top line, if not second line player, but then like so many draft picks up the wazoo. Like a stupid amount. Like you're giving up your firstborn child to get McDavid.
Yeah. But who could do it? This might sound crazy. San Jose.
They've
got the cap room. They've got all those kids.
But the thing is though, would he actually sign in San Jose?
That's the thing.
That's because Orlov signed there, right? Yeah, Orlov signed there. The corpse of Nick Leddy's there. Klingberg. Decor's not good.
You got
so you got
Smith. You've got that other kid in Misa now.
You got Celebrini. You got Will Smith.
And
you got Misa.
Mm-hmm.
You got Eklund. Like you actually do have some talent.
That's what I'm saying. You've got some young guns. Now, would you part ways if you're San Jose? Somehow, if you get him to sign, you'd have to give up two of those three. You'd have to give up at least two. Smith, Celebrini, or Misa for McDavid, and at least a couple draft picks.
I don't think they do it. It's going to sound crazy saying that. I think a team like San Jose just genuinely thinks that they're in a situation where it's like these guys could become like a McDavid or a Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a crazy thing to say, but you don't take these guys so high in draft picks if you don't think they can become superstars in their own right, and then they're going to have more contractual control over them in comparison to a guy like McDavid, who you're going to have to pay like $15+ million, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation. I'm not sure.
I don't think San Jose would pull the trigger personally, but they got to kick the tires.
You know who should call?
Who?
Don Sweeney. Here.
You think?
We'll give you Hagens, we'll give you Swayman, and we'll give you some draft capital for McDavid. Send it.
Dude.
Like,
you think Sweeney's the most hated man in Boston now? Dude, They would burn his effigy in the fucking street. You'd have
If they tra-
you,
if they traded for McDavid,
yeah. You know
why?
there'd be somebody that would piss somebody off.
Listen, I think that Hagen's kid, he's going to Boston College. He actually put on like 19 pounds of muscle or like 15 pounds of muscle. Like I actually think
Mm-hmm.
Hagen's will has the potential to be really freaking good. Um, I'm just saying, like, would I trade Hagen's and Swayman and a draft pick for McDavid? You sure as fuck know I would. I'd be like, all right, like Hagen's got
Yeah.
potential. McDavid's proven me he can be an elite level player, and
Actually, no. The
Swayman,
more you sound it, the more that makes sense.
you know, it's
Just because fucking then Edmonton has their goaltender,
yeah,
and he's an $8 million goaltender.
yep.
Now that
And the
means at
Bru-
some
and
point, so you got to jettison Nurse.
into the sun.
Yes, nine point
Yeah,
two five million dollar pylon.
is being
So
nice about don't insult pylons that bad.
that's
Like
the world's
pylons
most
actually
expensive pylon. Is
pylons
fucking
actually
Darnell
stop stuff
Nurse.
usually.
Fucking his
So
sister's better than he is.
I would take her on the team instead of him.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck yeah, I would take Sarah. She's a fucking
Uh,
beast. He's a
I I
doofus.
I think. I mean, listen. I think when it kind of comes down to it, teams should be interested. I think the Oilers ever trade McDavid? No, I don't. I don't. I think they'd be afraid to do that.
Oh, I
Even
would be
though, if I
terrified.
recall correctly, didn't the Oilers win a cup after Gretzky got dealt?
They did. They
Yeah.
won. If I'm not mistaken, they won. Yeah, they
Like the
won
next
in
season.
'90. They won because the last year they won was '88,
Let me look.
and then I want to say Calgary won in '89. They
Yeah,
won again in
90. 90 is
90.
their last
90.
cup.
Yeah, because they had that team was fucking stacked because
Yeah,
they
because
had
84, 85, 87, 88, and 90.
yeah, because our Lord and Savior was on that team. They didn't need Gretzky. They needed the
Oh,
Messiah.
Messiah. That's crazy. I mean, listen. I think personally, I'd love to see. I think the Oilers should be open to dealing McDavid if he's not going to double down or if he's not going to extend.
Yeah.
Now, now McDavid, to me, right? If he really cares about winning, he doesn't care about the contract.
No.
Because
Exactly.
that's another thing with Crosby. Crosby signed a long term deal, and like Crosby could have cashed out a few times, he didn't, like a
Oh
couple
yeah.
times. So if McDavid truly cares about winning,
Uh huh.
you know, I'm not saying you go into the poorhouse and play for $1 million a year, which I mean, a million's
No.
more than what most people make in a lifetime. But
Yeah.
I'm not saying go play in the poorhouse, but hey, maybe just make the same as Draisaitl, and it gives you a little bit more cap
Yeah.
flexibility. You know, just saying, kind of make a little bit more sense. But
Would make a lot more sense.
so all right. Well, I mean, I think this is a definitely all over the place video, but we kind of started off with McDavid versus Crosby. I think we both picked Crosby just because he's a
Yeah.
good two-way player. But I think McDavid's also a great player in his own right.
He is
He's
a
definitely
great him and
yeah. Go
him
ahead.
and Draisaitl, two girls, no cup. But
The real question here is, and we'll end it on this: McKinnon or
oh
McDavid?
easy, easy. You don't have to ask, young fella. Dude, I would take McKinnon in a heartbeat. That's the goddamn dog, ladies and gentlemen. The goddamn dog. That is a goddamn man out there. McDavid, he's a good kid. He still looks like a kid. McKinnon is a goddamn man. I'm done. Rant off.
You know what? I'll say this because people are going to say you're crazy, right?
I don't give a shit.
No. Listen. In 96 games played, McDavid, in the playoffs has 44 goals, 106 assists for 150 points. McKinnon in 95 has 55 goals, 70 assists for 125. So both extremely productive. McDavid has 25 more points. I will say, East Coast bias here. It's because you guys are both in the Eastern Conference. West,
The Eastern Conference.
the Western. Like that's usually what they did in the NBA for the Eastern Conference. So, but like you guys are in the weak West. But
I don't know about all that on apples, young fella.
I know. I'm just being a dick. I don't really mean that.
I'm just sitting there going, I don't know about all that now.
But in his career, McKinnon has. I'll just pop up the goddamn tab, right? That would make it a little bit easier presentation. McKinnon has 1,015 points in 870 games played. I know for a fact that McDavid's going to have more than that. 712 games played, 1,082.
Yeah, so, good for him. Who's got the fucking cup, honey? You can have as many points as you want till the motherfucking cows come home. Where's the hardware, bitch? House. You ain't parading it through fucking Edmonton, hooker boots.
I'll say this. I think it's funny because I'm not just agree with you. We've had this conversation off the air. You know my thoughts on this. I would take McKinnon over McDavid as well.
I know you would. So I will even this, and this is me being biased as fuck. I'd take Landeskog over McDavid.
Okay, relax. Calm the fuck down. Okay, wait, not like relax. Like, okay, like listen, great story. He's a great player in his own right. Let's also not fucking forget Landeskog was on the outs there for a bit there in Colorado. Like, God, can he do it? Listen, Landeskog is a great player, great leader. It's a great story. I'm so glad he's back to playing the game he loves. But he's no, like. What am I gonna say? I'm gonna take Jonathan Drouin over fucking Connor McDavid. Like, relax, calm down.
Whoa, easy there. It's not like you're fucking. It's not like you're taking Gilles Meloche over Connor McDavid.
Shout out to the homie horse. Well, let us know your thoughts down below and how much you disagree with us. Oilers fans, do not show up to my apartment with pitchforks and I just don't want.
Yeah, so. No, give it 9 months, or no, give it about a year when they fucking deal McDavid, and then there'll be pitchforks and fucking torches in fucking Edmonton.
They'll burn that city down, man. That's what Canadians are good at, though.
They'll Vancouver the fuck out of Edmonton.
So, let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Who do you got in Connor McDavid versus Sidney Crosby? Who you got in McDavid versus McKinnon? And do you think that Connor McDavid could potentially maybe be traded? Who knows? Yeah. Let us know your thoughts.
32 years. Keep it in the States, baby.
Jeez. Yes, the NHL team's full of Canadians. Yes. That's such a stupid argument. It's like, you know what? I'll say it. I'm gonna end this on this. I gotta say this because now I got it right. It does kind of show how bad, like, because even Canadian players don't want to play in Canada.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. I'll say that.
So, real quick, one of my, Jordan, we played NHL together with him, right? That goofy kid. He lives in Vancouver. He's originally from Winnipeg. Every year that Canada, I've known him 6-7 years. Every time an American team wins the cup, I will send him just a message that says 30 years, 31 years, and I get this fucking 2 to 3 paragraph long rant about how it's their fucking sport. I wish I had some of those messages saved, you, because some of that shit is gold about how Americans should stick to what we know, and that's bowling.
Bowling, Jesus Christ! I mean, well, shout out to your homie, bro. But
much like
all right, man.
32.
We'll definitely be trying to record more of these throughout the summer. Kind of have some fun. Topics like this. Anything you got to say here before we get out of here there, Chief?
No, brother. Missed this shit.
Yep. Shit. Make sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Helps us in the algorithm, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Don't forget to hate on me.
That's